Alright folks, we're back. We are now going to begin the final region of the World Edition. Case 49.
Family and friends came together in the Capitol Building Statuary Hall to say goodbye to their friend.
A reminder that none of us really knows how much
Day of the Dead.
One by one, members of the Hawaii delegation stepped up to share their memories.
Mark was, simply put, one of the best colleagues that I've ever known.
I considered Mark to be one of my
These are great times for the Bureau, Matthew. We're all grieving the death of Michelle, a team member and friend we'd come to love and trust. She was killed in Sombra's birthplace at the hands of the man we thought to be Sombra's leader. But it turns out although Castillo was Sombra's founder, he's since handed the title of El Rey to a successor. Which means the real El Rey is still at large. The only information we have, Matthew, is that we've already met the current El Rey somewhere throughout our investigations. That could be anyone. Our immediate concern must be Castillo's threat about Sombra preparing to step out into the light in the north. The USA's sudden decision to build a wall along the Mexican border sounds exactly like the kind of political unrest Sombra could take advantage of. Which is why we've come to Mexico. Matthew, I want you to head down to the wall's construction site. The sooner we get some answers, the better.
The room here on Capitol Hill was full of friends, family, and colleagues who came to say aloha to Congressman Roy Takai. Reporting on Capitol Hill, I'm Kelly Meyer, KITV Island News.
Jerry, beautiful memories there of the late Congressman.
Bytown Talk Sports with Marky Bell.
And there's concern on defense for the Rainbow Warriors.
Yeah, units from both teams have work to do before heading to Arizona. Rainbow Wahine kills later. She says she's good to go. And David Freak, Pittsburgh Pirates, later.
Oh no. Broken colored wood. Locked tablet. There we go. My God, Matthew, it looks like this poor woman has been hung up and beaten to death. Whoever killed her even put some streamers on her. Was this victim decorated like a human piñata? This is gruesome. That name tag says this woman's called Cindy Hamilton, and that she's the project coordinator here at the wall. Ah, I see you're already on the case, Matthew. That tablet must have belonged to the victim. The lock screen has her photo on it. I'll leave the password decoding to you. And I almost missed those broken pieces in all of this construction mess. I'll grab the glue so you can put that back together. It's a good thing that wall's not going anywhere, Matthew, because it will have to wait. We've got a murder to solve. Sure do. And I'll get some stars, so sit tight. Alright, I got myself 6 stars. Let's examine the broken colored wood. Or actually, no, we're going to take the tablet first. I have a feeling that one is going to be the analyzing one. OH4, PT2. 7RD. Aww, missed the 9. That's strange, Matthew. The victim's tablet is open to the blog of some adventurer guy, Artie Fax. Surely that's not his real name. In any case, the victim was interested in reading about his exploits. Let's run his photo through the database and see if we can find out who this Artie Fax is. Oh no. But I still got the 9. Marvin Hamilton. Okay. So Artifact is actually called Marvin Hamilton, and the database says he's the victim's brother. Marvin specializes in the preservation of rare artifacts, and his latest blog entry says he's currently trekking here in Mexico. I hate this part, Matthew, but we should go inform Marvin of his sister's death. I'm getting better, guys. I'm still coughing, but otherwise I'm good. Let's inform him. Excuse me, are you Marvin Hamilton? Or perhaps I should call you Artie? Wow, I'm impressed. No one's ever discovered my secret identity before. Do you want an autograph? Well, we actually wanted to talk to you about your sister. We're sorry to tell you this, but she's been murdered. Oh my God! Someone killed Cindy? This can't be happening. I spoke to her just yesterday. Do you know of anyone who might have threatened your sister? Not at all. Sure, she was blunt at times and rubbed people the wrong way, but she always spoiled me as her little brother. Cindy was a good person at heart. I can't believe Cindy's dead. Please excuse me, I have to call my parents. We're sorry for your loss, Mr. Hamilton. Stay close in case we need to speak to you again. Okay, broken colored wood. Mask. Whoa, that skull mask's a bit creepy. What's it doing at a construction site? Wait, I think that's a Day of the Dead mask. That's how the Mexicans honor those who have passed away. I heard it's going on right now. You're right, Matthew. There's a message on the inside. The message reads, Cindy, please be my honored guest. And it's signed by a certain Lupita Mendez. It looks like this Lupita Mendez was extending the victim an invitation to something. Let's go ask her what it was. About her invitation to the victim. Bienvenido, Marshal. I hope you enjoyed the parade. Wow, that's some intense makeup. Are you Lupita Mendez? We wanted to ask you about this mask you gave Cindy Hamilton. Yes, I invited Cindy to the parade. She's the project coordinator at the border wall. She isn't very popular, so I decided to extend her an olive branch. Well, she won't have to worry about that anymore. She's been murdered. Murdered? That's horrible. It's one thing not to like someone, it's something else to kill them. You say Miss Hamilton wasn't popular? Can you think of anyone who would want to hurt her? Nobody really liked her or this American Wall, but she was just doing her job. I can't imagine anyone going so far as to murder her. Alright, Miss Mendez, if you do think of anything, don't hesitate to let Marshal Matthew know. In the meantime, Matthew, since we know the victim was here, let's take a look around this parade site. Good thing I decided to change my mind then, at which to investigate. Let's see here. Handkerchief. Trumpet. Rolling wallet. And I got the first star. Cool.
Well, I think you're an incredible writer, Earl. It's just that Congress that wrote about roller skating gig was exactly the same as the first.
Lupita told us our victim came to the parade, Matthew. Did you find any new leads that might help us solve her murder? It looks like there's blood on that handkerchief, but there are also some black stains mixed with the blood. We better take a sample. And you can learn a lot about a person from their wallet, Matthew. Let's have a look through this one and see who it belongs to. That's my duty to get some more stars. Alright, I got back up to 6 stars. Let's examine the handkerchief right now. Hopefully this will be enough. Oh, and I got 9. Great. You got a sample of that brown substance from that handkerchief, Matthew? Let's see what Lars can make of it. 3 hours. And the wallets. Uh-oh, I think I saw Cortez. Yep, Ramon Cortez. I just got the 8 in time. Matthew, the ID card you found in that wallet belongs to Ramon Cortez. That's Ingrid's ex-husband. He's also the one who tipped us off about the wall in the first place. And his ID shows he's actually working on that construction site. Let's go have a chat with Ramon, Matthew. Maybe he can help us make sense of this whole mess. Not the trouble in Mexico. Ramon Cortez, this is Marshal Matthew from the Bureau, and we're here to... Marshal Matthew, gracias a Dios. Things have gotten worse since I first reached out to you. I'm so glad you're here. First was that wall, and now my project supervisor's been killed. Cindy was your supervisor? Yes, I'm a supply manager on the wall project. Such a terrible tragedy. To take the life of a beautiful, strong woman, it's an act of pure evil. So the Bureau's here. Is Ingrid with you? Yes, but it's pretty clear she doesn't want to see you. I'm not surprised, to be honest. The man I was back when we were married, I'm not proud of it. What happened between you and Ingrid exactly? It's a long story, but I became a drunkard. I slept around. Ingrid could only take so much before she asked for a divorce. But I wish I could show her those dark days are behind me. I'm a changed man. Well, that's up to Ingrid. Changed man or not, stick around. We may have more questions for you.
When you're suffering from chest congestion, try Mucinex 12 Hour. Mucinex
I'll let these two run their courses. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the stuff, brown liquid. Ah, Matthew, that sample you collected off that handkerchief's taking me back to my university days. The wind in my hair, cruising the open road. Wind in your hair? What do you mean, bro? Oh, right, I haven't told you yet. The substance contains, among other things, petroleum hydrocarbon, a common base ingredient in motor oil. The thickness of the oil indicates this is four-stroke engine oil, designed specifically for use in motorcycles. I used to be a real speed demon, Matthew, a cowboy on a steel horse. I seen you ride myself, bro. We should hit the road again sometime. But Matthew's right. What does this have to do with the case? Oh, sorry. As you know, there was blood mixed in with that sample you sent me, and it matches the victim. Which means that handkerchief we got the sample from belongs to Cindy's killer. Yes, and given these oil stains, it's obvious they ride a motorcycle. This is the kind of clue that gets my motor running, Matthew. We're looking for a killer who rides a motorcycle. No matter how many of these autopsies I do, Matthew, the human capacity for cruelty never ceases to disturb me. The autopsy shows your victim was knocked unconscious, most probably before the killer tied her up. The killer must have then draped the victim with these streamers and hoisted her up with the crane in a gruesome display. Some of the bruises on Cindy's body have very distinct markings, so keep an eye out for a wooden bat or club, most likely one with ornate carvings. This was a carefully executed crime, Matthew. The killer probably made a point of covering their tracks. They still made a mistake, Matthew. I found a clear liquid soaked into the rope that Cindy was tied up with. It's a beverage with an extremely high alcohol content, distilled from the blue agave plant. Or to put it simply, this liquid is tequila. So our killer drinks tequila? Knowing that, you'll definitely be able to worm a confession out of them, Matthew. I can't believe there's really a wall being built along the Mexican border, Matthew. It's crazy. But although that's what we came to investigate, that isn't our biggest concern for now. We've got a murder on our hands. Cindy Hamilton was in charge of overseeing the construction of the border wall, a job Lupita Mendez said made her pretty unpopular. Marvin Hamilton was devastated by his sister's death, and Ingrid's ex-husband Ramon wasn't much help at all. We're going to need more evidence if we want to find Cindy's killer, Matthew. I know exactly where you might find more evidence, Matthew. Your crime scene is deeper than you thought. And I mean that literally. There's a storage level underground. Cool. And we'll start Chapter 2 in just a minute. Alright folks, we're back. Let's start Chapter 2 of Day of the Dead. These are dark days, Matthew. We're still recovering from the shock of Michelle's murder. Sombra's preparing its final plan, and while you caught Castillo in Colombia, their current leader is still at large. But that's not all. We came here because the USA's decision to build a wall on the Mexican border is causing an uproar. A controversy that was confirmed when we found the project's coordinator had been murdered. Matthew, I know where you might find more clues. I scanned the murder scene for security cameras and got a signal from underground. There's a storage facility right underneath your crime scene. An underground storehouse sounds like the perfect place for a killer to hide evidence, Matthew. Put on your boots, we're going under. Yep. I'm going to go with the Dalmatian this time.
Thank you. Hepatitis A continues to spread. The latest case is a food service worker at Oklahoma City. The company is a vendor inside the sales hall in Pearl City. Food handled by the employee was sold from August 29th up until a few days ago. The Department of Health says none of the food products sold by Oklahoma City at Sam's Club have been identified as a source of
Meanwhile, Genki Sushi
Box camera. Ah, there we are.
he is safe. Today, members of the Hawaii Restaurant Association Board decided to hold their meeting.
Well, judging from the blood on this club, it's obvious the killer was down here. Let's send this club to Lars so we can confirm the blood as our victims. And this must be the security camera Elliot detected. The view screen's locked, but I'm sure there won't be a problem for you, Matthew. This torn poster's probably worth looking at too. If the killer's been down here, it might be theirs. Did you bring the tape, Matthew?
Incubation period of the illness, even though the source has been identified as contaminated scallops. And Genki Sushi on Hawaii will reopen tomorrow at 11 a.m. They stay closed for an extra week to complete renovations. Back to you.
12 hours. Take care of everything right now. 804. 570. YXG. Go ahead and press play on that view screen, Matthew. Let's see what this camera recorded before it stopped working. Mr. Cortez, I don't normally do this kind of thing. You mustn't tell anyone about this minor indiscretion. Now, Cilieto, you don't partake of the passion that is Ramon, then call me Mr. Cortez. Be serious. If anyone knew I'd come down here with you. Mi amor, Ramon doesn't talk about his sexual conquest. Like all true legends, it's others who will talk about it. Ramon, please, if anyone finds out and I lose my job because of you, I'll have your head. Ooh, such passion, such power. Come to me, Munesa. Let us rock the universe again. Mr. Ramon. Oh gosh. No wonder Ingrid broke up with him. Okay, you can stop that recording, Matthew. We get the picture. Ramon was clearly lying when he said his womanizing days were over. He was having an affair with his supervisor. Perhaps he's not a changed man after all. You're right, Matthew. This legend needs to explain himself. Alright, Ramon, stop lying to us and come clean. We know you were sleeping with Cindy Hamilton. You found out about that? I was sure that camera was turned off. But I won't deny it, Marshal Matthew. That beautiful Cilieto and I shared a day of magic and passion. We rode on my motorcycle, then we made wild, passionate love. And do you always sleep with your supervisors? Amigos, there's nothing sexier than a woman of authority. You can't bridle a stallion like me. We're not your amigos. Cindy said she'd have your head if anyone found out. Perhaps it was you who had her head. How dare you? I'd never lay a hand on a woman, apart from giving her pleasure, of course. My days of violence are over. Well, if you did kill Cindy, your days of freedom will be over. For good. This is a protest poster, Matthew. Whoever this belongs to is clearly not in favor of the wall's construction. We know the victim's involvement with the wall meant she had a lot of enemies. Let's recover that faded text and see if it belongs to one of them. bring down Cindy Hamilton, rally behind Medina Cuervo. Those are strong words, Matthew. The poster says, bring down the wall, bring down Cindy Hamilton. The protest seems to be endorsed by a Medina Cuervo. I think we need to have a few strong words of our own with Medina Cuervo and find out whether she actually did bring down Cindy Hamilton. About her protest against the victim. Medina Cuervo, we're here about your protest. We don't know if you're aware, but Cindy Hamilton's been murdered. Of course I'm aware, and I hope you're not implying that I had anything to do with it. I'm a peaceful protester. Those posters of yours don't look very peaceful. Look, Cindy Hamilton and her wall stood against everything I believe in. As such, she was my enemy. That wall is dividing our nations, undoing decades of effort on both sides of the border to achieve peace. But I respected her conviction, standing behind her cause, even if I didn't agree with it. I'll raise a glass of tequila to that. And maybe she was right. Once this wall is built, people like her won't be in Mexico anymore. If she'd stayed away, perhaps she'd still be alive.
The space previously occupied by Monster applied for a $2 million building permit this week with the city's Department of Planning and...
Let this run its course. See y'all then. Alright folks, we're back. I'm starting to feel better. Let's get the results of the Bloody Club from Lars. Great news, Matthew. I can confirm that the club you brought me is the murder weapon. Or at least I confirmed it before DuPont snatched it away. What do you mean DuPont took it? Ah, let me explain, mon ami. This is an exquisite example of a traditional piñata bat, intricately inlaid with Aztec carvings. Piñatas have been part of Mexican culture for centuries. The ancient Aztecs worshipped their war god Huitzilopochtli by decorating a clay pot and hanging it on a stick outside of their temples. Filled with jewels, these pots are then smashed open during public festivals. The treasures inside presented as offerings. To be in possession of such an object, the killer must certainly have a knowledge of ancient Aztec beliefs. I don't think human offerings are what Huitzilopochtli... Oh, forget it. But now that you discover Cindy's killer has an affinity for Aztec legends, they'd best believe it's only a matter of time before they're behind bars. Great work finding the murder weapon, Matthew, but this case is far from closed. We need to dig up more evidence if we're to catch Cindy's killer. Good idea. The killer has an affinity for Mexican cultural traditions. Let's go back to the Day of the Dead parade. They may have spent some time there. Oh, what the heck. Let's try go for the first star. Offerings plate. Uh-oh. Oh, son of a gun. But I found the hammer. I don't know whose blood is on that hammer, but I don't like it. Let's get a sample, Matthew. And I feel bad rummaging through these memorial offerings, but I agree, Matthew, we should probably take a look. Take care of everything now. Oh, got the 9. A photograph. That photograph he found doesn't seem to belong among those altar objects. Wait, Matthew, that's the victim, and she's being yelled at by that parade organizer, Lupita Mendez. Lupita invited Cindy to the parade to extend an olive branch, but she sure doesn't look happy. We'd better ask her why. Oh, hold on. There we go. Tab wasn't responding. Let's ask why Lupita was angry. Can you explain this photograph to Marshal Matthew, Miss Mendez? I thought you invited Cindy Hamilton to the parade as a peace offering. I did, but she made a mockery of one of our most sacred traditions. Look at the photo. She sat down on a memorial altar, drank the offering water, then lit a cigarette using one of the memorial candles. Afterward, I rode my Italica to the wall site to bury the hatchet and offered to share a round of tequilas, but Cindy laughed in my face. You're admitting you went to the construction site and argued with the victim? You realize that's where she was murdered? Wait, you think I had something to do with that? Don't be ridiculous. If we find out that you organized the day of Cindy's death, Lupita, you'll be spending next year's celebrations in jail. Made it to 21, so I can play the crime scene once again, even though I have over 59,000 energy. Let's get this blood you collected off that hammer to the lab. Lars can tell us who it belongs to. Get the results tonight. Maybe I'll speed it up, but who knows? For now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, we're back. I'm going to speed up the blood for 2. Well, Matthew, the blood on that hammer wasn't the victim's, but it's still connected to your investigation. The blood matched a certain Chico Alegria, who is a senior contractor on the construction site, which means he worked with your victim. If Chico Alegria knew the victim, he might be able to shed some more light on this case. Let's go talk to him and find out. See what he has to say. Chico Alegria, we wanted to ask you about the murder of Cindy Hamilton. Yes, such a tragedy. I drank a bottle of my finest tequila to honor her memory. We're surprised to hear that. Most of the people we've spoken to didn't really like her. Cindy personally endorsed my application to manage the construction companies at the site, so you won't hear a bad word from her a bad word about her from me. She wasn't very popular, and neither is this wall, but none of that interests me. I'm making a lot of money from this project. Don't start spending your fortune yet, Mr. Allegria. We may need to speak to you again before this investigation is over. Beaten to death with a piñata bat, Matthew. What a way to go. And the list of the victim's enemies seems to be getting longer. Lupita Mendez was outraged by Cindy's disrespect at the Day of the Dead parade, and that protest leader, Medina Cuervo, had plenty of motive to take the victim down. And Ramon lied to us about his relationship with the victim, so it's hard to believe anything he says. Everyone admits to being at the crime scene. To be honest, any one of them could be the killer. Matthew, there's trouble at the wall. A crowd of people is gathering on the site. They're threatening to tear it down. Yikes. We're going to have to do something about that in Chapter 3, so sit tight. Okay, folks, it's now time to start Chapter 3 of Day of the Dead. The list of Cindy's enemies is getting longer, Matthew, and any one of them could be her killer. Matthew, there's trouble at the wall. A crowd of people is gathering on the site. They're threatening to tear it down. That's all we need. A bunch of protesters compromising the crime scene. Let's go, Matthew. Mexico doesn't want anything to do with this wall. This was America's idea, not ours. If they won't stop, we'll take it down with our bare hands. Everybody quiet. No one's taking anything down. This is a construction site and a crime scene. This isn't the last you've heard from us. We won't take this lying down. Everyone be on your way. They're all gone. I don't know about you, Matthew, but all this wall seems to be doing is causing problems. But right now we must stay focused on catching Cindy's killer, and we can't do that with people compromising the crime scene. Speaking of which, let's look around the building site to make sure no evidence was lost. Oh, I think I see a clue.
Get serious. Clorox means clean.
Aztec statue. Iguana. Another 10,000 coins. Cool. Clearly, that's the victim's briefcase, Matthew. It has her initials on it. Go ahead and unlock it. And that looks like a ripped-up photograph, but I can't make out anything. You'll have to tape it back together. A building site's an unusual place for a statue like that. And look at that message scratched into it. I know you stole this. There's some liquid on that statue. Let's get a sample. We're so close to cracking this case, Matthew. I can feel it. Oh, why not? let's take care of everything right now. Here we are. I'm curious about that clear liquid you collected from that statue, Matthew. Putting it under the microscope should give us some answers. I'm gonna get the first star first, so sit tight. Okay, got the first star. Take the clear liquid right now. Okay, that's one. There we are. Marvin Hamilton's sweat. That clear liquid you collected off that statue is sweat, Matthew, and it matches the victim's brother, Marvin Hamilton. I wonder who was accusing the Aztec adventurer of stealing. We'd better track Marvin down and find out. What does he have to say? Marvin, I think you need to explain this message. Were you stealing artifacts? Technically you'd call it smuggling, but it's all in the interest of historical preservation. Or it would have been if my sister hadn't ruined a priceless piece by scratching those lies across it. So Cindy found out you were smuggling artifacts to her construction site? That wouldn't have gone down well. Look, I'm merely redistributing these rare objects from those who don't appreciate them and putting them in the hands of those who do. Aztec culture is my life. Nobody's better suited to preserving it than I am. With all this construction, sneaking things across isn't difficult. I put them on the seat of my motorcycle sidecar, hiding them under a box of tequila. Except your sister found out. I'm guessing she put a stop to your little operation, and now that she's dead, there's nothing stopping you. How dare you even suggest it? You think I'd kill my own sister to keep this quiet? We've seen many murder for less. If Marshal Matthew finds out you did kill your sister, your next adventure will be in jail. Well, now he's in the running. Torn photo now. I do not like this shirt. I don't know why. Don't ask. This is a photograph of that protest leader, Medina Cuervo, and I'm guessing that young girl is her daughter. It seems Medina doesn't hate America so much after all. Look at that t-shirt. I love USA. Good eye, Matthew. That motorcycle in the background means Medina rides motorbikes. It looks like Medina Cuervo still has a few things to explain to us. Let's go. About her photograph. Miss Cuervo, this is a sweet photograph. Why tear it up? I didn't. It was that evil dragon, Cindy Hamilton. I showed her this picture to let her see the human impact this wall was having. I love America and I've always been proud to be their southern neighbor. But Cindy tore it up and said mongrels like us should be kept on our side of the border. I can see how that would have upset you. I love going on motorbike trips to America with my daughter, but once this wall is built, I won't be able to anymore. This is a declaration of war against ordinary people like me. A fight is the last thing I want, but sometimes it's necessary for peace. The Aztecs had a saying, the earth is not a place of contentment, it is merely a place of joy with fatigue, of joy and pain, of joy with pain. I hope you didn't let Cindy's insult get the better of you, or your world is about to have a lot more pain and a lot less joy. Locked briefcase now. HA4, SGR, UVE. Whew. Was there anything inside the victim's briefcase that'll help us find our killer, Matthew? That document you found in the briefcase is in Spanish, and so is that message scribbled across it. Let's have DuPont look at this document. He'll tell us what it says. "9 hours. I'll get the results tomorrow. 3 hours to Matthew. See you then." Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the document from DuPont. I must say, Matthew, after that magnifique pinata bat I examined earlier, this document is a letdown. We're sorry to disappoint you, DuPont, but what did you find out if the victim's document is connected? But did you find out if the victim's document is connected to her murder? The document itself is a memorandum from the victim. Apparently, she was accepting applications from new contractors and letting go of the old ones. The message scribbled across the page says, "I'll see you buried under the wall before you can get rid of me." Someone clearly wasn't happy with Miss Hamilton's plans. Good thinking, Matthew. If there's anyone who'd be angry about replacement contractors, it's Chico Alegria. Perhaps Chico's fortune wasn't as guaranteed as he thought. We'd better go talk to him. Chico Alegria, it sounds like your gravy train working on the wall was coming to an end, and you threatened the victim about it. I knew I should have never sent that message. But I was furious. Cindy ran the construction sites like a stubborn mule. She was always telling us men what to do and never listened to anything I said. And then she sent out that memo calling for new contractors, American ones. She said if anyone was going to profit from building this wall, it should be her country. Is that why you killed her then? Because she was cutting you out? What? No, I sent her that threat in a fit of rage. I should have gone for a ride on my motorcycle to calm down. I'm a direct descendant from a powerful Aztec warrior. I deserve more respect. This is what happens when a woman runs things. When I started out, women knew their place, and it wasn't on a building site. I'm not sure our bureau chief would agree with you, and if it turns out you made good on your threat and killed Cindy, your place will be behind bars. Our victim had a lot of enemies, Matthew. A fiery protester, an angry contractor, even her own brother. Working out who actually wanted her dead is proving to be a challenge. And none of this is getting us any closer to finding out the truth about this wall. Good idea, Matthew. We know the killer hid the murder weapon in that underground storehouse. Maybe there's something else we missed. Let's go. The sooner we solve this case, the better. I'm changing pets to the Dalmatian. Okay, let's see what. pinata bag, and the toolbox. Perfect.
Let's try it again. Anyone?
They've got a lot of things to clean up on both sides of the ball. Yeah, for Ohio State, we talked about the youth and the experience in the hospital.
There we go.
They answered the question for me. They were terrific. Offensive firepower, their defense into the call.
Well, let's see. Promoting prostitution, third offense.
Did you manage to pick up any new clues, Matthew? The evidence we need to crack this case could be here. That bag of pinata streamers, they're exactly like the ones on the victim's body, which means the killer must have handled this. You're right, there's some white powder on the outside of that bag. Let's get a sample of that. I'm less convinced about that toolbox, but at this stage any lead is worth a shot. Let's look through it.
She wouldn't do mine. And she'd do 3 guys at one time. We did it. She liked your outfit, too. You ever participate? I'm an entrepreneur. You have to be
Got it. 7. If that bag of pinata streamers was the killer's, Matthew, it could break the case wide open. Let's get this white powder you collected to the lab. 15 hours. I can get the results tomorrow. Cloth. Your instincts are always spot on, Matthew, but I'm still confused. How is the cloth you found in this toolbox going to get us closer to our killer? Yes, I see that stain on those strange sparkly pieces. I guess you better send this cloth to Lars to get some answers. 9 hours. We'll get the results tomorrow. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the white powder right now and put a killer behind bars. Look what Lars got me, Matthew. A pinata. That's great, Sanjay. Just don't be smashing that open in here or Carmen will have a fit. Sorry, Matthew. All of this talk about pinatas got Sanjay a little over-enthusiastic, so I got him one of his own. Speaking of which, that white powder you collected from that bag of streamers contains a mixture of minerals, including granite, limestone, and sand, all the major components of concrete. Given that there was crushed concrete on the outside of that bag, the killer must have had concrete dust all over their hands, and it's likely they wiped some on their clothes. We'll have the killer between a rock and a hard place, Matthew, if they've got concrete dust marks on their clothing. Everything's been pretty chaotic since we got to Mexico, bro. So if you've discovered anything useful from that cloth, Matthew, found in that toolbox, I'd love to wrap this case up sooner rather than later. Sure thing, bro. That cloth is a great find, Matthew. That stain on the corner is tequila, and it matches the sample Grace found during her autopsy. So this definitely belonged to Cindy's killer. The cloth is made of microfiber, the kind you use to polish jewelry. More specifically, those small sparkly fragments you noticed, they're from a colorful gemstone, which I've determined is opal. So you're saying the killer used this cloth to polish their opal jewelry? Well, I guess that colorful stone proves one black and white fact, Matthew. Cindy's killer is wearing opals. Not a moment too soon, Matthew. You put all the pieces of this puzzle together. Let's go arrest Cindy Hamilton's killer. It is not Marvin Hamilton. It is not Lupita Mendez. It is not Ramon Cortez. It is Medina Cuervo. Medina Cuervo, you're under arrest for the murder of Cindy Hamilton. Me? Murder Miss Hamilton? That's absurd. I told you I'm a peaceful protester. I wouldn't call stringing someone up and beating them to death with an Aztec piñata back peaceful. It must have taken a lot of rage. I'm hearing a lot of speculation, Marshal Matthew, but no proof that I did anything. You can cut the act. We found your tequila soaked into the rope you used to tie up the victim. Tequila? One of the most popular drinks in Mexico? That's hardly evidence. We also found it on the cloth you used to clean your opal earrings. Marshal Matthew, if you start arresting everyone who's wearing opals, you'll be pretty busy. What I don't get is you murdered her so brutally, and for what? Because you couldn't go on vacations with your daughter anymore? What? No, I killed Cindy because I'd never be able to see my daughter at all. My daughter was born in America. She lives there with her father. We've been divorced a long time, and I rarely get to see my darling Rose. But once this wall is completed, I'll never see her again. All border crossings will be prohibited for Mexicans, and it won't be safe for her to travel here. I tried to convince Cindy to do something, anything, but she laughed at us, calling my daughter a half-breed. And that's when you snapped and killed her. When I realized what I had done, I decided to make an example of her to draw attention to my cause. So I strung her up like a piñata to show the world that Mexico wouldn't allow itself to be brutalized at the hands of America. Taking the law into your own hands is never the answer. Medina Cuervo, you're under arrest for the murder of Cindy Hamilton. Medina Cuervo, you stand before this court charged with the murder of Cindy Hamilton. What is your plea? Guilty, Your Honor. I killed that woman. I don't deny it. She and her wall would have destroyed thousands of families just like mine. Cindy Hamilton wasn't personally responsible for that wall, nor will her murder stop it from being built. The world needs to know Mexico won't stand for this wall. We won't take this lying down. Many of us have been working towards peace between the U.S. and Mexico for decades. This wall will destroy all of that. It never ceases to amaze me. Violent killers who talk of peace. Medina Cuervo, you are hereby sentenced to 30 years in prison for the murder of Cindy Hamilton. This isn't over. That wall is the beginning of the end. Peace as we know it is lost forever. Congratulations on bringing Cindy Hamilton's killer to justice, Matthew. I know this was a chaotic case, but I must admit I'm still unsettled by the warning from Sombra's founder that they're on the verge of making their final move. After the rise and fall of the Prometheans, Sombra's infiltration of Cosmos, their child brainwashing program, and global network of assassins, what else could they possibly have planned? One dreads to think of it, Matthew, and despite all of our efforts, El Rey is still out there leading them. We must redouble our efforts, Matthew, and find out what Sombra is planning. Taking a look at the other ones. Chico Alegria, no opal. Marvin Hamilton, no concrete smudge. Lupita Mendez, cleared early. Ramon Cortez, cleared from the start. It was Medina Cuervo. I'll see you guys for Edge of Darkness 1-8. Okay, folks, we're back. Let's start Edge of Darkness 1-8. You've caught Cindy Hamilton's killer, Matthew, but our work here in Mexico is far from over. If Cindy's murder has told us anything, it's that the wall the Americans are building along the border is causing a lot of controversy. Instability like this is particularly worrying, given the threat by Sombra's founder about their plans to step into the light. If El Rey isn't behind this unrest, it could certainly play right into their hands for whatever Sombra's got planned. For now, we need to gather more information about what's going on here, and that means going back to the construction site to see what you can find, Matthew. Leave no stone unturned. Before we decide on our next move, we need answers. I know you got your hands full, Matthew, but I'm worried about Ingrid. Ever since her ex-husband contacted us, she hasn't been herself. Ramon admitted he cheated on her before they divorced, but Ingrid's behavior suggests there is more to it than that. I'm with Marina on this one. Ingrid's been out of sorts, and we must find out what's upsetting her. We've got our work cut out for us, Matthew. Start by talking to Ingrid if you like. I'll meet you at the wall. Ingrid, Matthew and the rest of the team are worried about you. Ever since Ramon... You can stop worrying. I'm fine. We just need to leave and forget all about this. I know it's not easy, but you're clearly running from something, and forgetting isn't the answer. If just hearing Ramon's name made you burst into tears, there's something else you're afraid of. You don't understand, Matthew. We were so in love and had everything we wanted, and then... Being here reminds me of all the joy we had, but also all the pain that came after. It's too much sorrow to deal with again. I'm sorry. Ingrid, wait. That didn't go as well as I'd hoped, Matthew. I know Ingrid would feel better if she talked, but she doesn't seem ready. As a friend, I'd rather not pry into Ingrid's private affairs, but as the Bureau's therapist, I need to know whether she's emotionally compromised. Good idea, Matthew. Ingrid said she and Ramon shared happy times here. Maybe we could find something at the Day of the Dead parade that will remind her of those times and encourage her to talk. But I think we could both use a drink first. I'm buying. Yep, I got the Dalmatian on. There we are, wooden box with a pacifier inside. Oh, don't tell me Ingrid was pregnant. That little box holds a pacifier inside, possibly to remember a baby. These altars are for people to honor the memories of loved ones who passed away. You're right, there's a message inside the box. It says, "Your daddy Ramon loves you." Ramon? Could Ramon have lost a child? You're right, Matthew, we shouldn't jump to conclusions. It's a grim suggestion, but getting a sample of saliva from this pacifier would help us determine whether this child's father is our Ramon. Well, if that's why Ingrid is all bottled up about this, it's kind of understanding. Okay, got 8. It's heartbreaking to think about, Matthew, a child's death. But we must put our emotions aside if we're to uncover the truth about this wooden box. Let's get that saliva sample you collected off that pacifier to the lab and see what Lars can tell us. 6 hours. Let's investigate the construction site. There we go. Wheelbarrow. We're searching for anything that might tell us what's behind the unrest in Mexico, and it comes down to this: digging through a dumpster. I agree it's a good place to start, but I'm not going into that bin to search for evidence. I'll leave that to you, Matthew. Energy, cool. Did you find anything useful in the dumpster, Matthew? I'd hate to think you went crawling around in there for nothing. That article you found in the trash has got the headline, Mexico Demands Unified Nations Sanction USA. Could this have something to do with the wall? I've fallen behind on global politics, but I'm sure Elliot can dig up more information for us. Okay, I will let both run their courses. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the saliva. I've got to go, girls. I love you more than anything in the whole world. Say hello to Matthew. Hi Matthew, we love you, Daddy. We miss you. Sorry Matthew, I just needed to talk to the triplets. This lab sample you sent me was a difficult one. The DNA profile you got from that pacifier confirms the deceased child's parents were Ramon Cortez and our very own Ingrid Bjorn. So this child was also Ingrid's. How terrible for her and Ramon. No wonder Ingrid's suppressing all those memories. Matthew, Ingrid will probably be upset about us stirring up the past, but we should talk to her about this. Ask Ingrid about her son. Matthew, it's pointless to keep coming to see me. There's nothing more to discuss. Ingrid, we found out about your baby. We're so sorry. How do you know about Eduardo? Oh, my darling Eduardo. Ramon and I were so deeply in love before we had a child, but after Eduardo was born, we grew closer still and became a family. We had no idea you were carrying such a terrible burden all these years. Do you want to tell us about your little boy? Eduardo was born premature. The doctors warned us it would be a struggle. He fought so hard, but didn't make it. Ramon and I were shattered, naturally. Neither of us knew how to deal with it. We stopped talking, we stopped living. He started to drink and sleep around, while I completely shut down and cut myself off from everything. Still, it feels so good to say Eduardo's name. I haven't said it out loud in years. Obviously, Ramon's been feeling the same way. He placed your baby's pacifier in an altar to honor his memory. I'm shocked he even thinks about Eduardo anymore. I didn't think he cared. Perhaps it's time you finally talk to Ramon about this and find out how much he really does care. Marshall, Matthew, it's nice to... Hello, Ramon. Ingrid? Is that you? Yes, it's me, Ramon. It's time we finally talked. Matthew showed me the box you left at the altar. I didn't think you cared about Eduardo anymore. How could you think that? I do it every year to honor the memory of our dear boy. I always hoped one day we might do it together. After losing Eduardo, we both became strangers. I wish things had been different, but it's too late for us now. Our journey together has ended, Ramon, but maybe we can still honor the past instead of letting it destroy our future. Eduardo was a gift to us, if only for a short time. We should be grateful for what we had. Thank you, Matthew, for helping us talk together and confront our past. We're both grateful. Please take this gift as a token of our appreciation. And the article? We've been so busy lately, Matthew. It's a while since I've had a chance to read anything in the news. This article is a small piece in a complex political puzzle. To start with, the article references the Unified Nations, which, as you well know, Matthew, is a global organization promoting international cooperation between its member states. These include Mexico and the U.S. It appears the USA's decision to build a wall along the Mexican border was made without external provocation and without a clear cause. As a result, Mexico has demanded the Unified Nations impose sanctions on the USA, meaning economic trade agreements with other member states would be restricted. We know Mexico's response to the wall has been negative. Cindy Hamilton learned that the hard way, but we must know more. I looked up the men in this photograph, and one of them is Nilo Virtanen, a special envoy for the Unified Nations. He's in Mexico now negotiating with local authorities. Alright, Matthew, if there's anyone who can tell us more about what's going on, it's this Nilo Virtanen. Let's make an appointment to see him. About the Unified Nations? Hello. Are you also here to protest against the wall? No, we're not protesters, Mr. Virtanen, but we understand you're here representing the Unified Nations. We wanted to ask you about this article. Ah, yes, the call for sanctions. A strong reaction, I must say. But I guess I'd be pretty upset, too, if someone started building a wall on my doorstep, so to speak. Can you explain what led to the construction of the wall in the first place? The wall is only a physical manifestation of a deeper underlying problem. Lately, the U.S. has leaned towards isolationism, cutting themselves off from the international community. This, of course, goes against the principles of cooperation and mutual aid championed by the Unified Nations, so the question of sanctions was raised by Mexico. This, unfortunately, led to the emergence of the U.S.-NA movement in the U.S., which I'm sure you all know about. Actually, the Bureau's been quite busy lately. What's U.S.NA? It's rather complicated. The easiest thing would be for you to look over my files. They're right... Dear God, my portable hard drive is gone. I must have lost it when I visited the wall storage facility. All my files are on it. That we can help with. Marshall Matthew's good at finding things. Let's head down to the storage facility, Matthew. But how about a little pick-me-up first? I'm starving.
This disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? We need answers, which is why we offer a free program by medical professionals who treat compulsive communion.
Call toll-free at 1-800-305-HOPE or go to mentalonly.com.
There's no obligations. Call toll-free at 1-800-305-2665.
You see, I need you to come to house then, Suits. I'll get my purse.
we are. That must be the hard drive Nilo was talking about, Matthew. It has a Unified Nations symbol on it. Nilo authorized us to read his files, so go ahead and unlock the hard drive. Oh no. NMC LE8. The drive's unlocked, Matthew? Let's have Elliot look over Nilo's files and see what he can find out. Alright, and I'll see you guys when this is done. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the hard drive from Elliot. Do you know how many clauses there are in the Unified Nations Charter, Matthew? No. Consider yourself lucky. There are a lot of them, and I'm sure I've read every one. But it paid off. Hunting through Mr. Virtanen's files, his records go into great detail about the USNA movement, information you won't find in the press, and it's not pretty. The USNA movement arose as a protest against the possible sanctions on the U.S. They're calling for the government to take the U.S. out of the Unified Nations.
It's really different.
And this isn't a small group of radical fundamentalists, Matthew. There are millions of activists lobbying for the government to listen to their cause. The nation is polarized on the issue. This all sounds so crazy, Matthew. What else have we missed in our race against Sombra? The good news is, it's not all doom and gloom. Have a look at this video.
And we can help make it real. You need choices? We've got all kinds, including special finishes and papers.
I know the naysayers would have you believe a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and that America should break free from that chain. The USNA movement thinks we need to close our borders, shut the gates, and eliminate the outsiders. But now, more than ever, is the time for us to stay the course, stay united, and stay strong together. Our future must be a unified one. I'm Sandy Turner, and I say we stay. That was Sandy Turner. He's the leader of the U.S. Stay movement, the group who wants the U.S. to stay in the Unified Nations. Nilo Virtanen wasn't kidding. The U.S. is really divided on this debate. This is a lot to digest, Matthew. We'll have to brief Chief Ripley on all of this.
Stay up to date with this week's top stories from around the world. Read something great.
Thanks so much, Matthew, for helping me get Ingrid to open up.
Text her.
I know now she'll be able to cherish her past memories.
Start your free trial now.
I intend to. Thank you again, Matthew, for giving me the strength to face my fears. What the... Ingrid, is that really you? I realize that by shutting out the pain, I've also been shutting out all of the joy of life. But no more. It's time for me to start living again. Wow, it's so nice to see you happy, Ingrid. Unfortunately, we've also got some bad news. We just had a crash course in current American politics, and it's tumultuous, to say the least. There's a battle raging in the U.S. between those who want to withdraw from the Unified Nations and those who want to stay. I don't need to tell you about the volatility of this situation, Matthew. Tensions in the UN are the last thing the world needs, especially now that Sombra is likely waiting to exploit any weakness. Sombra's founder said we'd hear about things in the news soon enough. What if this is what he was talking about and is playing right into El Rey's hands? We don't know for certain. What we do know is that U.S. Stay is holding a rally in San Francisco right now. If we're to find any answers, USJ is the best place to start. You've been away a while, Matthew, but it's time to go back to the United States.
Mine was always too busy to spend time, but now yours. Never, Eli.
He was,
Okay, that's going to do.
And of you. So proud, always boasting about his American daughter. We should meet. Talk face to face.
there are rules.
Hasn't opened yet.
Your father is dead. We should dance. Don't make me fight you. You know I can and will.
My assistant,
How long?
Leah, a woman
September
I
22nd.
trust with my life, assures me
That's
that
3 days from
Owen's
now.
name is in our database.
It's not the one she said.
But there was a time lapse, Gibbs. Maya sent the file from our office in Alborz, but the receipt marking its arrival did not come for nearly 6 hours later.
So,
Let's see what stickers I got.
intercepted.
6 hours, Deputy Director.
Director. Have you ever been hacked before?
Twice. And you?
3 new ones.
To my knowledge.
I am merely saying it is possible.
Lon Bonner can't be trusted.
As you would tell anyone. Eli's young.
3 new ones.
Arrogant and ill-tempered. Eli could teach him nothing but to be suspicious of everyone. Trained by the best.
2 new ones.
Also getting close to the money trail. How close?
And one more.
His ex-wife was handled by a bank in the Caymans. First Security of Westway, Northwest Indiana. From there, 35 million.
4 new ones.
Wired from a secure family trust. I'm not sure if it's a family, but the account is labeled Virtue.
Okay, let's see. Oh, this is in case 1.
What is it, Tony?
This word Virtue mean anything?
Of course gives. If you mean by definition.
Case 17.
More like a name.
Family business, what's the company?
See, that's the account to pay the hitman.
Mean anything in another language? Farsi, maybe?
In Farsi, the word for virtue is tekwa. Means nothing to me.
I know it's not Russian. What about Hebrew? Arabic?
In Hebrew.
Okay.
Yes, in Hebrew the word is tohar.
Case 40.
The man's my name.
Who's?
Elon Bodner. He's on his way here.
My apartment?
I'm armed.
Denozo, you're with me. McGee, get the Bodners.
Okay, that will do. And I will do a case in Elite Mode in Grimsboro. Stay tuned for that.
Use it.